Welcome back in, guys. It's Friday. It's a nice Friday. We got NFL playoffs cooking up this weekend. Hope everyone's doing good. We got a nice slate coming up here in the NBA. A couple of small losers last night. Always transparent with you guys, but a lot coming up this weekend. We'll see what we can put together. First, big news this morning. Patriots already new head coach on. And there's levels to franchises, and apparently this whole season was spent with Mayo planning to succeed Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick was training him throughout the season. His contract was written in January. There's just different levels to these strength of franchises that we have in the league.
Yeah, it's like when you're going to be a new waiter in a restaurant. You follow the experienced waiter around, and you get all the. Going to be tough to get all the knowledge that Bill Belichick has in one season. This is a rebuilding project in New England. Hey, that's a franchise got a 2-decade run as one of your top teams in the NFL. More Super Bowl appearances. So you had your run. Time to rebuild. A couple of teams will be in that situation, and we'll see where that coaching carousel goes. We talked about it. Also, Carroll leaving, one of three coaches all time to win both college championship and a Super Bowl. And then you've got Saban leaving college. Again, we talked about that yesterday, as legendary as Bear Bryant. For you guys that don't know who Bear Bryant is, that's the old Bama coach that historically was Alabama football. With all that said and done, that's don't need to talk about that. We need to talk about what's happening now this weekend. We got, 2 games tomorrow, 2 NFL games tomorrow, playoff games. Nope. We've got one of the games in that time. I gave you guys +3 early in the week. That game pretty much down to a solid 2 right now. With the home dog, we got the Browns. The other game, a tough one. Miami's got to go on the road, just waiting for injury info there. Now, we already know they're decimated. As far as defense, 5 linebackers down. One of their top corners, Ramsey will play, but Xavier Howard hurt last game. He missed last game again, out this game again. Just waiting to see, do they get Waddle and Mostert back? If not, that's going to be real tough for that offense. You saw how weak that offense looked in the second half against Buffalo. Not only that, let's go into ice, cold, freezing conditions. I'm in Florida, guys. Man, it just feels different when I got to go back up north in the wintertime now. So Miami's got to go deal with that 0-degree weather in KC. And KC got a nice little defense. While Mahomes has struggled with that wide receiver group, yep. He's definitely struggled. Then we got another 3-game Sunday. I haven't made a bet on that yet. Don't know what to expect in the Buffalo game. Could be severe weather there. So we're waiting to see. It will definitely be windy. They're getting snow Saturday and Sunday. Not supposed to be blizzard-like yet for Sunday. We're waiting on that, but it will be windy. And then on Monday night game, again, another home dog in that one. That's a quick look at the NFL. Did you want to talk some more about NBA last night?
NBA last night, John, 62-point beatdown. OKC took care of business yet again against the Thunder. Speaking of that, we have to go back and look at for the giveaway we did, it was supposed to be whoever's the closest to the final score. I mean, what is it? The largest gap, and there was one person who had a 32-point difference. So a little disappointed. Nobody knew it was going to be a 60-point loss, John. A little disappointed. They got to be better.
Well, that's why we put the post up. The trend of the day yesterday was Thunder had won 9 straight meetings, 8-1 against the spread. It had already beat them down in Portland earlier this year. The 2 games now, the 2 meetings, they beat them by 100. That this Portland team, we're going to talk about them in a little bit. They're finishing up a back-to-back 7-game, 12-day road trip today. They beat Brooklyn in overtime. That's their only win. That's the only game that they didn't lose by at least 21 points. So, I mean, this is not even a NBA product that they're putting on the court, but an embarrassing, ugly loss. And then just as I don't want to say embarrassing because it's just a terrible spot for the Celtics. And that's why sometimes, and I try to tell the guys, the ratings is it's a base number. You've got to understand spots. We talked about it yesterday. This was a circle game for Milwaukee yesterday. The last time Celtics were in Milwaukee, they put it on them by 41. When we talk about home revenge, it doesn't get much more home revenge than that. So you had Bucks rested, ears pinned back for home revenge. Boston, who we didn't even know if anybody was going to play, which they really should have sat everybody for the effort. They wound up sitting everybody second half, coming off that overtime back-to-back. Just where the numbers, the ratings say Boston, yes, that's the base number, but you couldn't make up for that spot. So anyway, just trying to explain. And we're going to put a video together over the weekend, and I'm going to show you guys my notebook. And we're going to post it, and I'm going to literally go over each little thing, every number, every letter on there, and help you guys make your own numbers. But again, you got to always think of the spot. So as crazy as that game was, we saw a ridiculous game in OKC, a game that I thought, again, Boston should have sat their starters.
Yep.
Don't know why OKC needed to play their guys. I mean, they did pull them early. I think SGA hits 32 in 21 minutes. Now, I don't know if that's some kind of record, but that's like Wilt Chamberlain numbers, but 32 points in 21 minutes, and then they just rested them out. And probably the most impressive win of the night was the Mavs.
Shout out Kyrie.
Kyrie without Luka, and it's not just Luka. Lively and Exum have been starting also. So Kyrie comes out of nowhere. Puts 44 on the Knicks. Mavs put 44 on the first quarter. Now, Knicks have been giving up 97.8 points per game since the Anunoby trade. And if you guys look in the box score again, I always tell you about that plus minus. OG, even though they lost, was a plus 14 in the plus minus last night, making him a plus 125 now in the 6 games. Look, we talked about that trade. It's a huge win for the Knicks. Toronto feels like they did well on it too, and that's what's called a win-win. But OG's just playing out of his mind. He's turned this Knicks team around. They got lost in that first quarter, I guess believing the headlines, and they got lit up for 44, never able to recover after that. But hat tip to Dallas. There was a game that we felt the Knicks should have came in. Look, that could have been a loser. This is when we always preach discipline. We did not get the number. We let it go. Sometimes the best bets you make are the ones you don't make, and that was it. We talked about the game last year. Knicks had a 9-point lead in Dallas with 33 seconds left, and they lost the game in overtime. They should have been coming in looking for a W there, and they came in sleepwalking in the first quarter. Mavs got out to a huge lead, and then were able to hold on.
Yeah, what Kyrie did last night, very impressive. I think that's his Mavs team season high, or Mavs team high, I should say, 44 points. And then you have Hardaway, also another big game. That's a good prop look, by the way, for those of you guys. When Luka is out, Tim Hardaway usually gets a lot of those reps. His 30-point prop is usually around plus 700, 800, even higher sometimes. So he, again, 32 points without Luka last night. Then in the Phoenix game, a late game, Bradley Beal had his little coming out party for the Suns. 8 for 10 from downtown. I believe it was 4 for 22 in his 5 prior games from 3. Then he just goes 8 for 10 from deep, 37 points. And if they can get that version of Bradley Beal and still have Booker and KD playing at a high level, then they can have something. Then they might be able to work with something. But they're really dependent on those 3 guys because depth definitely isn't their strength.
And you still got to stop somebody. I mean, look, Lakers just they stopped themselves last night. Yeah. D'Angelo Russell was your leading scorer last night. There again, another game, guys, especially my Massa Edge members, they were actually talking about this game in the chat, saying that we had the Lakers rated 1.5 points better. So Lakers at home, 1.5 points better than Phoenix is on the road. Yes, base number. Triple revenge. Okay, this is 3 times they beat them down. Read the previews, guys. One of the wins being the quarterfinal, I guess you can call it, of the in-season tournament. So, and here's a game that the Phoenix just had to have, coming off the embarrassing loss to the Clippers the game before, while Lakers were coming off 2 escapes. They escaped the Clippers, a game that they needed to win, and then just get by the Raptors with the referees' help. What a tremendous disparity at the free throw line. So 1/2's the rating, then the spot. The spot, guys, the spot is as big as the actual rating. So you got to know the spot. And that was the spot in that Phoenix game. Triple revenge, a game Phoenix absolutely had to win. Just the perfect storm wasn't there for me. If my numbers would have said it with the spot, it would have been Phoenix. And I think we actually said I would bet Phoenix. It's Phoenix or nobody. Just the number wasn't right. Look, line makers, they're doing a better job. They really are this year. They're on top of their numbers. So there are spots where we can hammer them, like the Jazz +7 the other night. But if not, just got to wait. I liked our under bet yesterday with the Mavs. Knicks, everything lined up. No Luka. Knicks playing great defense. Before last night, they had allowed 97.8 points per game, previous 5. Everything says under. And you knew that game was over in the first quarter.
Yes, it was. And we'll see if we can get any more of these totals kicking up for us this weekend, any more going tonight. We got a pretty big NBA card we can start diving into here. We got Kings at Philly, top game on the card. Really quick before we dive in, guys, like, comment, subscribe below, help us grow this thing. Kings at Philly. You have NBA leading scorer Joel Embiid still out for the 76ers. Hughes questionable for Sacramento. They're 6-2. Their last day playing good ball. Just a weird read on this game. Philly's won 9 straight meetings, 6-3 against the spread. A bit different Sacramento team than early on in that trend. Absolutely, from about 4.5 years ago. This is a spot, Sixers 2-4 in these last 6 games here without Embiid. They're not looking the best. They got big performances from Maxey and Harris last game. Still couldn't pull it out in overtime versus the Hawks. Trend would suggest Philly. Can they do it without Embiid? I would lean to Sacramento on this game, but really tough game for me to get a read on.
Yeah, I think the number's right there. As Ben said, Philly having a tough time, and of course they are. Embiid's only the leading scorer in the NBA. Not only that, he's leading candidate for MVP right now. He's doing a better job this year than last year. Anyway, all that being said, 2-4 in the last 6 games without him. They've lost their last 2 at home. One was actually with him. One of the games at the Knicks knocked Philly off. But this game's right on the number. Yes, Philly's got the history, but the history's weird. They've won 9 straight, 6-3 against the spread. But the three of the non-covers all came at Philly. But that's usually when they're a little bit of a bigger favorite. Sacramento just gets underneath the number. Last 5 games at Philly, Philly's won them. Last 5 meetings with Sacramento, Philly's won them by an average of 12 points per game. To me, number is right on there. Uter, also questionable for Sacramento. They're in their 3rd city in 4 days. So the more shorthanded you are, when those days build up a little tougher. Pick them on this game for me, and that's basically where the line is right now.
We have Pacers at Atlanta. This Indiana team, you guys know, very high scoring. Same with Atlanta. Both teams top 5 in scoring and points allowed. The 2 meetings this season so far averaged 287.5 points per game. Ridiculous. Does that continue without Halliburton? Question. They played Washington. Pacers did without Halliburton. Another team down there gives up the most points in the NBA. And they only scored 112 without Halliburton. Earlier in the season, they were playing high scoring without him. We'll see how it goes in this one with Atlanta. Either way, though, Pacers, great ball right now. 8-1, their last 9. Hawks just 3-6, 2-7 against the spread. Their last 9, they're 3-12 against the spread at home. They are coming off that OT win against Philly. You could only look at the over as far as the total goes. And as far as the side, I actually do lean to the Pacers. McConnell's a decent backup point guard. He was very efficient in that first game there without Halliburton. We'll see if he can repeat that. I'm just still at a point where I'm not looking to back the Atlanta Hawks. So this would be Pacers or nobody in my eyes.
Hawks have now won and covered their last 2 games, not only beating Philly, but again without Embiid. And the game before that, beating OKC, but that was on the back end of a back-to-back coming off a major win against the Celtics. So they get a little lucky with their draw. Before that, 1-12 against the spread at home prior to winning these last 2 at home. look, Indiana comes in here, and I told you guys the other night, I like McConnell as a backup. He gets the job done. I think he shot 7 of 10, gives out hands out the assist, doesn't turn the ball over, but they brought him off the bench, started them hard out. We'll see what they do today. Also got a couple of question marks. Jalen Smith and Aaron Naismith, both going to be questionable for Indiana. My line, if Indiana is completely healthy, I'm lower than the 5.5, and I would be on Indiana. We've got to wait and see. Those are a couple of rotation players, guys that mean a lot in the rotation, especially with Halliburton out. So we'll wait to see on the injuries, but to me, Indiana or nobody. Look, this is double revenge for Atlanta. They've played twice already, and Indy's got them both times. Like I said, even figuring that in, I'd have to be on the Pacers.
Rockets going on to the NBA worst Pistons. They're coming off an overtime loss against the Bulls at Chicago. Then you have this Pistons team, and you guys know the story about that. They just had their Super Bowl. They lost to the Spurs 130-108. No Cunningham, doesn't matter. Couldn't get anything going there. Houston is 3-6 their last 9, 3-12 on the road. I imagine they're going to be able to get a win here against the Pistons on the road. They've had some success. They've won the last 4 meetings, 3-0-1 against the spread, and a lot of overtrends tonight, John, and that's where we're looking.
Yeah, that's my only bet right now. Just getting Gabe Davis officially ruled out for Buffalo. They're going to be a little banged up. Only bet right now, a small bet on the total in this one. Houston second in the league, allowing just 110.6 points per game. But remember, Dylan Brooks, their key defensive guy, out. The 8 games that he's missed, they're giving up 118.5. Their last couple of games have gone over. 4 of the last 5 meetings between these two teams have gone over. And 9 of Denver's last 10 games have gone over. Detroit, not Denver. Detroit's 10 games have gone over. They don't score much, but they give up the points. And Detroit giving up 27th, giving up 123 points per game. So we made a small little bet at over 226.5 this morning. This game is ticked up 227.5, 228, depending on your book. As far as the game, how could you want a team that is 1-35? That's not even real. 1-34 in their last 35 games. Houston will come in looking hungry to get a win. But remember, they're coming off overtime, and they're traveling now, a third city in 5 days off overtime. So don't like Rockets that much either in this spot. I think the line is right. I just think that they'll be able to get over that 226.5.
Then we had the battle in Florida, Magic at Miami, and I don't know what's going on in the water down there, John, but you got a bunch of people banged up. Wendell Carter's questionable. You got a bunch of guys still missing for Orlando. Ingles, Harris, Isaac, Wagner all remain out. And then you got Butler and Kyle Lowry. They're going to remain out. Tyler Hero and Caleb Martin, they're both questionable. We'll see if they'll be able to find 10 guys to fill the floor tonight there for this game. Got to be a little bit of a lean to Miami. Both teams pretty banked up. You got to give the coaching edge to Spoelstra. You got to give the home edge, the matchup edge. 8-2 last 10 meetings, 7 straight in Miami. This is just a slight ownership. Orlando covers a lot in this matchup. Some of them are hard fought, but we talk about, two teams trending 2 different directions. Miami's not quite what they were. They've dropped off a bit, and Orlando's coming up a little bit. So we're getting a little bit more value in my eyes in this matchup, especially when you consider all the issues that both teams are having health-wise. Would be a heat or nobody in this game for me.
Yeah, look, Orlando's been playing banged up. Franz Wagner, he's definitely out. And then you're missing guys like Ingles and Isaac. They're out for sure. Wendell Carter Jr.'s missed the last couple of games. He's actually questionable. We'll wait to see on him. As far as Jimmy Butler, he's missed a ton of time. He's going to return either Sunday or Monday. They already said he won't play both games, but he'll play Sunday or Monday. So he's getting close to getting back, but will not play tonight. Hero on the injured list also. Miami does a lot of what the Lakers do, and that's just throwing anybody that could possibly be out on the list. And I think that's what Hero's about. We'll see. If Hero's out, this is a no-brainer. Got to like Orlando in this spot. They've already played a couple of games. Now you take Hero out with Butler already missing, Martin missing. Lowry's another guy starter. Not what he used to be, but again, gives them time, gives them minutes. and another body out of that rotation, and I'd have to like Orlando. We'll wait to see, but I believe Hero will get announced, and if he's in, I think that number's right where it should be, 3.5 or so.
Then we have the hottest team in the NBA, the Clippers, going on to Memphis. Clippers coming off another win against the Raptors. Kawhi and PG each had 29 in that one. They're now 16-3 their last 19, 5-2 the last 7 on the road, 14-1 the last 15 with Kawhi Leonard in the lineup. So they're getting it done. Grizzlies actually go 3-0 on the trip, but the injury news keeps getting worse. First it was Morant, now it's Marcus Smart added into the mix as well. Adalma's going to remain out. Jackson is coming back in this game, but you're just losing guards left and right. And, those two guys literally probably combined give about 6-7 points worth of value to Memphis as far as scoring, defense, everything that those two guys are providing in that little stretch. They had them for, 2 weeks? So this is really tough to back Memphis. 3-13 at home would be ever so slightly a lean to the Grizzlies. I will say that, but seems like a letdown spot, if anything, after this game here against Dallas, and can't do it. They're not getting it done at home.
Very interested to see how Memphis faces this game. They're playing good ball. They got Ja Morant back, big plus. He goes down. They still come out without him and still go and knock off Dallas.
Yeah.
And then they lose Smart, as Ben said. Smart, another one of those guys, we talk about him. Go look at that plus-minus column continuously. One of the leaders in plus-minus every single game. Does a lot of the things. A couple of years ago, Defensive Player of the Year. Losing Ja and Smart pretty much in back-to-back games is going to put Memphis right where they were at the beginning of the season. This team just could not have turned around more. Last year, the Grizzlies had the best home record in the NBA. This year, can't win at home and actually hanging in there on the road. Clippers coming to a place. They've split the last 4 meetings, winning 2 in LA this year, splitting 2 in Memphis last year. Prior to that, Grizzlies pretty much had their way with the Clips. We'll just see what the Clips come in. They've got Timberwolves next. Mm-hmm. So this could be just a little bit of a little peek ahead to the Clippers. Maybe take Grizzlies a little lightly here, but no way in the world do I want Memphis. To me, my numbers suggest this is double digits, and I wouldn't be shocked to see a blowout. That's what I'm saying. I want to see how Memphis approaches this game. Do they come with an effort, or is this a basic 1-3 in a row? If this was Memphis has had 2 days. This will be 2 days before their last game. If it was the day after, 1 day coming back, I would have bet out on the Clippers saying Memphis coming back home. But with 2 days off, let's see how they approach this game. But no way in the world do I want the Grizzlies going for me. Very short-handed Grizzly team.
Then we got Portland going on to Minnesota. Minnesota also has that tad bit look ahead there to the Clippers. We saw that Portland can be lost by 62 last night. And I will be shocked if someone else doesn't sit for the Timberwolves tonight. They just rested Conley and Gobert. Is it Cat or Edwards' turn tonight? I'll look at the Clippers. You don't need all bodies, and it's 15-point favorites to go take down this Portland team right now. So I imagine Blazers show up a little bit in the sense that they just got beat by 60, but a horrible spot, back-to-back, 7th game of a road trip. No interest in backing the Blazers here. And if you're going to lay the points with Minnesota, at least wait to see the full lineups ready, because it's a pretty good spot to rest either Towns or Edwards.
Yeah, it really is. Man, again, we talked about this yesterday, saying how bad of a spot this would be for Portland. And I believe I said at the time, I think they should be about 16. Well, it's 15.5. And the only reason it's not even higher is because Minnesota might sit anybody. And I said it yesterday. I don't know why OKC didn't sit their players, or at least Shy, give him a night off. Could have definitely beat this Portland team. So we said if Portland gave any kind of effort yesterday, this would be a pack-it-in game. After that loss, you're a pro. You've got to come with something today. I'm not saying they're going to come back with a win, and I'm still not backing them. I just think they'll come with a different mindset after historic. This is historic. This is the 5th largest margin of victory in the NBA's history. It was ugly last night. The whole trip has been ugly. Like I said, except that one game at Brooklyn. They've lost the other 5 games of this trip by 21 points or more. Do they come with an effort? Do they sit everybody? Now, they sat Brogdon last night. Does Grant sit? Does Simon sit? Do they sit? So we'll look to see. I expect bodies to sit tonight. It's Minnesota or nobody. But again, do they give Cat? Do they give Edwards a night off over here with the Clippers coming up next?
Next matchup, Warriors at Chicago. Warriors, they're coming off getting beat down by the Pelicans, their worst home loss in the Steve Kerr era by 36 points there. Wiggins, I don't get why he keeps getting minutes at this point. Again, minus 29 on the game. You have Warriors 0-3 against the spread their last 3. They're 1-8 straight up, but they are 5-4 against the spread their last 9 on the road. And then the Bulls just keep getting it done at home right now, 9-3 straight up against the spread their last 12 home games. This matchup, really weird matchup history to wrap your head around. Is this a revenge game for Golden State? Do they show up at this game? Bulls beat them last year in Chicago. Prior to that, Warriors had won 11 straight meetings. They just had their worst home loss of the season. They have all these issues going on. Is this a game they get up for and get a win and get revenge? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say forget the 11 history, the 11 in a row. That's a little bit more of a, former team. This is a different Golden State team we're looking at. And the way Bulls have been playing at home, I'm going to hold more weight to that. My leans to Chicago in this one.
Yeah, I mean, Golden State, they're a dead team. You could see, if you guys saw Kerr's last press conference, and you could see it. He says it, that they've lost confidence. But this is Steph Curry, Klay Thompson. You get some guys out there that they're used to winning. Yep. Curry coming off another terrible game. I expect him to come with a better game in this one. And as Ben said, they had absolutely owned this series prior to the last one. Now, we're going to come up against a lot of these Golden State's owned, and a lot of it's due to their championship years, and they're not a champion anymore. But you guys still got to give those a little bit of respect. In this case, you get the Bulls. Bulls coming off their overtime win against Houston. They've been playing great ball. And the one thing I put in the preview, they went back to LaVine in the starting lineup. And both LaVine and White both played well, scored big. Vucevic also went back into the starting lineup, and Drummond back to the bench. I think the game is a solid game at the number. Yes, Golden State's been playing horrible. Chicago's been playing great. But because of the ownership, because I feel that they'll want to step back, remember, this is where Carr's won championships in his playing days. For you guys that don't know who Steve Kerr was, yep, he was actually at one time one of the best shooters in the NBA, and he played alongside of Michael Jordan. I believe he'll have them ready to play. I just think 3 is a fair number.
Then we got Pelicans going on to Denver. They're coming off that big win at Golden State. Question is, who do they have going tonight? They have Williamson, Ingram, McCollum, Murphy, all listed questionable. Can't really bet this game without knowing what's going on with those 4 guys, but they've been playing great basketball. 6-1 their last 7, 7-0 their last 7 on the road. And then you have this Nuggets team coming in now. They lost at Utah the other night for our 5-unit winner, but they're 1-3 against the spread their last 4. They've been having a little bit of regression at home after the big start as well. They haven't been playing as great there. Got to see the lineups. Got to see, is this a give-up game here for the Pelicans? Who did they throw on the floor? Could be a really big number if they sit everybody, and I still think it'd be worth laying the number with the Nuggets. So have to see who's all in. If everyone's healthy, would lean to the Pelicans ever so slightly, but got to see the lineups.
Okay, so I've got no real injuries. They're tagging. So let me read it to you. So Ingram, right Achilles soreness. McCollum, right ankle sprain. Zion, right quad contusion. Murphy, left knee tendonitis. All questionable. All played in their last game as they blitzed Golden State.
Yeah.
This looks like a precautionary injury report, as some of the teams do. They do play tomorrow, so they're playing back-to-back. Are you going to rest guys on the front end of a back-to-back against the champion Denver Nuggets when your team is as hot as they've been all year, or on the back end against Dallas that will be without Luka? I believe they're playing. I don't know that they're playing. That's why, guys, again, if you look at my ratings, you're jumping out of your shoes. You say, there's only a 3.7-point difference. Obviously, it's a bet-out situation if all the Pelicans players are playing. This would be a 5-unit bet. But until we know for sure, I can't send that information out there. So they're listing not only that big 3 questionable, but Murphy, who's their main point scorer off the bench.
Then we got Raptors going on to Utah, and 2 teams who've just been covering lately. Raptors 5-1 against the spread since the trade. You have the Jazz 9-2, their last 11, coming off the big win for us against Denver. This is just a bad spot for Toronto. 6th and final game of a long road trip that had two hard-fought games at LA, and then you go back home and you get the Boston Celtics. So is this a little bit of a give-up spot, more or less? What the Jazz are doing right now, they're just absolutely on fire. Keep getting it done, especially at home. NBA best, 13-4 against the spread. They've won 6 of the last 7 meetings, 3 straight in Utah. You get the matchup history. Everything favors me in this spot once again. Looking at the Utah Jazz tonight. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Terrible spot for Toronto. Long road trip. I tell you guys, anytime it's over a week, it's a lot of time to be on the road. This one here, 6th game, 10 days, last of a trip. And Toronto right now coming off a couple of tough L's in LA. They fight the Lakers right down to the wire, hit at what they thought was a game-tying free, only to get waved off. A tremendous disparity at the free throw line. Coach goes crazy. They nailed him with a $25,000 fine. Then they come back and they go to the Clippers, another tough game without Siakam, and they go down there. So you could catch a team just at the end of a trip, just with nothing left. Siakam didn't play the last game. He's going to be questionable again today. If he doesn't play, now you're missing your two big starters, Podol and Siakam. If that's the case, you got to close your eyes and bet the Jazz, who are red hot. Only thing I worry about the Jazz is they're a little letdown after beating Denver again. They shouldn't be. They should be used to beating Denver. That's what they do, beat Denver and Utah. Yeah. So it's Utah or nobody in this one. We'll wait to see what the Siakam injury is.
And then last game on the card, Hornets at the Spurs. Hornets lost yet again, this time against the Kings. They're now 1-14. Their last 15, 6-9 against the spread. Really banged up. Williams, Washington, Hayward all out still. But LaMelo Ball, questionable to return tonight. Do they get him back? And obviously, first game back, we talk about this often. You have guys who come back. They don't look quite the same. They're still getting into their shot back to form, picking up back with the chemistry with the teammates. Which LaMelo Ball would we get? I mean, there was a good, 8-game stretch. He couldn't shoot for his life this season, flipped a switch, and he started averaging over 30 points per game before the injury occurred again. So that's the question there. They have owned this matchup. They've won the last 5 meetings versus the Spurs. They've dominated the last 3 trips to San Antonio. And I have no idea if that's going to be good or bad if LaMelo Ball is back in tonight. I'm kind of hoping he's out. We get a bit more points with it. But honestly, with how bad this Hornets team is right now, even 60, 70% LaMelo Ball might be worth it to the number here.
Yeah, they're banged up. Will they get Ball back? We'll wait and see. He's been out. If he plays, it's going to be very limited. Remember, they're still without Hayward, Williams, both starters, and P.J. Washington was their first guy off the bench. All 3 of those guys definitely out, still waiting to see the situation with Ball. As Ben said, they've won the last 5 meetings. Remember, they only play twice a year, East Conference, West Conference. Last 3 times into San Antonio, they've won by an average of 15.3 points. Coming off another L, San Antonio coming off a huge win on the road. All of a sudden, you can see San Antonio just making a little bit of progress. Look, still losing a ton of games, but they've covered their last 4, the last one being a monster one at Detroit. Wemby gets his first triple-double, and actually on my Instagram story, I put it's just the beginning. We showed the clip of his triple-double. This kid's starting to get there. Again, I have the same feeling as Ben here. Ball is out, and this line goes higher than the 3 it is now. I have to take points against the San Antonio team that's just been terrible at home, and let the chips fall where they may.
Nope, we'll see if Wemby can kill us in that game. We'll see how many points we get if LaMelo's in or out. We'll see what that line looks like. And if you guys want updates on what we do with the card as we get injury updates, really some big ones with the Pelicans, especially 4 key guys there in that one. Minnesota potentially resting guys. Magic and Miami dealing with injuries. You guys want all those, sign up on our app or the website, and you'll get that updates and our bets. And for the weekend as well, we got football coming up this weekend. We gave you guys one bet earlier in the week, but obviously more can change. Halftime bets, you know the drill. So sign up on massacredge.com or download the app. John, did we just miss something there? Something move on us?
Yeah, they did a good job. And just when we're on the podcast, so they phonied up Buffalo, pushed it up to 35.5, and I just turned back to the page, and they just knocked it all the way down to 34.5. I know it sounds like the square side, but if you get a blizzard in Buffalo, there's only one way to go. The other total that we're looking at, KC, that just ticked up a little while ago. Waiting to see if they still do the same thing with that, come back with the under. But you got to like under or nobody in that KC-Miami game. They combined for 35 points when they met in Germany earlier this year. You got a Miami team going out to play, a hot weather team going to play in a freezing weather. KC, their offense has been, I don't want to even say suspect. I'm going to say terrible all season long. They've been a defensive-oriented team. So it's under or nobody in those two games. And then, like I said, when we talk about the phonies, and what that is by moving the line in a couple of the key spots, Pinnacle, Bet Online, everybody follows what we consider the sharper books. When everybody gets their number to where they want after investing that little money, they bury it, and that's what they did. They came all the way, knocked it down from 35.5, pretty much 34.5 across the board. We'll get a later weather report on this for that extra half a point. 35 is a number, is a key number as far as totals. But again, for that half a point, we'll wait. We'll make sure what that weather is. The other reason of going down as I gave on this, Gabe Davis, wide receiver, Buffalo, ruled out. So, again, going to detract away from scoring.
Yep, guys. So that's what we're going to be doing all day today and tomorrow, keeping an eye on these lines, injuries, and everything else to give you guys the best information possible. We appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully we can have a monster weekend here. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe below. John, if you have anything else, let's make some money.
Let's make some money.